Here is a question so ordinary you have never stopped to ask it. Why does a moving bicycle stay upright when the same bicycle, standing still, topples the instant you let go? Why does a spinning skater suddenly whirl faster the instant she pulls in her arms? Why doesn't a spinning gyroscope simply fall over? Why does a yo-yo climb back up its own string? These look like 6 unrelated tricks. They are not. Every one of them is the same idea wearing a different costume, one beautiful, deeply conserved quantity, angular momentum. By the end of this chapter, you will see it everywhere. Chapter 11. Rolling, Torque, and Angular Momentum, the chapter where we finally let the axis itself move and rotation joins forces with translation. Before we begin, a challenge. A wheel rolls along the road without slipping. 3 points, the very top, the center, and the bottom where it touches the ground. Which one is moving fastest through space? Pause and pick top, center, or bottom. Hold your answer. We settle it in 2 minutes, and it surprises almost everyone. Here is the whole route, and notice it is a chain, not a list. Each idea unlocks the next. We start with rolling, the clean sum of translation and rotation. Rolling carries a special kind of kinetic energy. To make it speed up, we need torque. Torque, integrated over time, builds angular momentum, the star of the chapter. When no torque acts, that angular momentum is conserved, which is the secret behind the skater. And the strangest consequence of all is the gyroscope, which refuses to fall and instead slowly precesses. 6 stops. 1 thread. The trick that unlocks the entire chapter is this: rolling is not a new motion. It is 2 motions you already own, added together. On the left, pure translation, every point of the wheel slides right at the same speed, v of the center of mass. On the right, pure rotation, the center stays put while the wheel spins at angular speed omega. Add the 2, and the arithmetic does something magical. Watch the gold dot on the rim, the wheel slides and spins in perfect lockstep, and the result is honest rolling, no skidding, no slipping. And smooth rolling forces one clean relationship between the 2 speeds. In one turn the center advances exactly 1 circumference, so the center's speed equals the angular speed times the radius. V of the center of mass equals omega r. This single equation is the whole meaning of the word smooth. So back to our challenge. Break every point's velocity into the translation piece, the same rightward V everywhere plus the rotation piece. At the very bottom, the contact point, the 2 pieces point opposite ways and exactly cancel. That point is instantaneously at rest, frozen. That is why a rolling tire looks sharp at the road but blurred at the top. At the top, the 2 pieces point the same way and add. The top of a rolling wheel moves at twice the speed of its center. The answer was the top, moving at 2v, and the point touching the ground is the slowest of all, momentarily standing still. Most students never forget this once they've seen it. Put a ball at the top of a hill. It has only potential energy, the gold bar is full, the others empty. Now let it roll down. Unlike a sliding block, it cannot pour all that energy into going forward because it is also being forced to spin. So the potential energy splits 3 ways in time: into translation of the center and into rotation about the center. Written out, the total kinetic energy is 1/2 I omega squared, the rotational part, about the center of mass, plus 1/2 mv squared, the translational part. A rolling object always carries both at once. That is why, on the same ramp, a rolling ball reaches the bottom slower than a frictionless sliding block. Some of its energy went into spin. What makes a wheel roll instead of slide? On a ramp, gravity pulls the center down the slope. If the surface were perfectly slick, the wheel would just skid without turning. Static friction at the contact point is what grips the ground and converts that slide into a spin. It does no thermal work in smooth rolling, it simply enforces the partnership. And just as we equaled omega r for speeds, differentiating gives the same law for accelerations of the center equals alpha r as long as the wheel does not slip. Time for a race. A hoop, a solid cylinder, and a solid sphere sit side by side at the top of the same ramp. Same height. Released at the same instant. Before I let go, vote. Who wins? The hoop, the cylinder, or the sphere? And they're off. Look, the sphere pulls ahead immediately, the cylinder chases, and the hoop trails badly. The sphere wins. Every time. And here is the shock. It has nothing to do with mass or size. Here is why. The acceleration down the ramp is minus g sine theta, divided by 1 plus I over mr squared. That last factor depends only on shape, mass, and radius cancel completely. A hoop puts all its mass at the rim, so its shape factor is 1, the largest, and it accelerates slowest. A solid sphere has just 2/5, the smallest, so it wins. Any sphere beats any hoop down any ramp. A yo-yo is the ramp problem stood upright. Instead of a slope, the string is vertical. Instead of rolling on its rim, it rolls down on its thin axle of radius r0. And instead of friction slowing it, the string's tension plays that roll. Gravity is the engine, tension is the brake. Run the same analysis with theta equal to 90 degrees and the radius shrunk to the axle, and out drops the acceleration, minus g over 1 plus I over mr0 squared. Because that axle radius is so tiny, the denominator is large, so the yo-yo creeps down gently and climbs back up with the very same acceleration. A ramp problem in a party toy. Forget formulas for a moment. Push a door right next to its hinge, and it barely budges. Push the same door out at the handle, with the same force, and it swings open easily. Your hand has known torque since childhood. What matters is not just the force, but how far from the axis you apply it. Now make it precise. Pick a point O, draw the position vector r from O to where the force acts, and the force F, with angle phi between them. The size of the torque is Rf sin phi, biggest when the force is perpendicular to R, and 0 when it points straight along R. That's why pushing a door edge on does nothing. But torque is a vector, it needs a direction too, and the cross product supplies it. Curl the fingers of your right hand from R toward F, your thumb points along the torque. Here it points straight out of the screen, perpendicular to the plane of R and F. Torque only ever makes sense with respect to a chosen point. Angular momentum is to momentum exactly what torque is to force. Take a particle with momentum p at position r from a point O. Its angular momentum, little l, is r cross p, magnitude r mv sin phi, direction by the right-hand rule. Its unit is kilogram meter squared per second. And a subtle point that trips everyone up, a particle does not have to orbit O to carry angular momentum about it. Even moving in a dead straight line, its position vector sweeps around O, so little L is generally not zero. And this is the quiet miracle of the definition, it does not care about scale. A single speck of dust, a spinning bicycle wheel, a planet swinging around its sun, an entire galaxy of 100 billion stars, the very same equation, R cross P, summed up into L equals I omega, describes them all. One law, from the microscopic to the cosmic. Here is a free spinning wheel. Give its rim a shove, apply a torque, and its spin ramps up. Take the torque away and the spin holds steady. Sound familiar? It is Newton's second law, reborn for rotation. For a single particle, the net torque equals the rate of change of its angular momentum. Sum over a whole system, and the internal torques cancel in action-reaction pairs, so only external torque can change the total L. And for a rigid body turning about a fixed axis, that total collapses to the clean L equals I omega, the exact twin of P equals mv, with rotational inertia standing in for mass. Keep this law close, because its most famous case is what happens when the net torque is exactly zero. If no net external torque acts, L cannot change, it is conserved. This is the third great conservation law, standing beside energy and linear momentum. And it has a spectacular consequence. If a body pulls its mass inward, its rotational inertia I drops, so its spin rate omega must shoot up to keep I omega fixed. You have watched this 1,000 times. A figure skater spins with her arms flung wide, large I, slow spin. Then she pulls them in. Her angular momentum has nowhere to go, so as I collapses, omega explodes. She whirls into a blur, having added no push at all. The same law is hiding all over the physical world. A diver tucks to spin fast, then opens to slow down for a clean entry. A cat dropped upside down rights itself in midair with zero external torque, it simply rearranges its own inertia. And in the classic lecture hall demo, a person on a frictionless stool flips a spinning wheel and starts turning the other way, so the total angular momentum stays put. Same L, redistributed I. Balance a non-spinning wheel on a pivot at one end of its axle, and gravity does the obvious thing, it topples straight down. No surprise there. But spin that wheel up fast first, and it flatly refuses to fall. Gravity still pulls down, still applies a torque, but that torque is now perpendicular to a huge angular momentum vector pointing along the shaft. A sideways torque cannot make L bigger or smaller, it can only swing its direction. So the shaft, carrying L, slowly sweeps around in a horizontal circle. That march is called precession. How fast does it precess? At a rate omega big equal to mgr over I omega. Read that carefully, the heavier you make it, the more inertia it has too, so mass cancels, and the faster it spins, the slower it precesses. A lazily turning top wobbles wildly, a fast one drifts around with serene, almost airy calm. Let's put it to work. A uniform sphere rolls from rest down a 30-degree ramp, dropping a height of 1.2 meters. How fast is it going at the bottom? Try it before I do. Here's your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Energy is the fast road. All the potential energy, mgh, turns into rotational plus translational kinetic energy. Sub into fifths mr squared for the sphere and omega equals v over r, and the whole thing collapses to 7/10 mv squared. Solve, and v equals the square root of 10/7 gh, about 4.1 meters per second. Notice the mass and radius vanished. Every uniform sphere arrives equally fast. One more, the crowd pleaser. A student on a frictionless stool holds a wheel spinning at 3.9 revolutions per second, its angular momentum pointing up. He flips it over. The student and stool inertia is 6.8. How fast does he spin? No external vertical torque acts, so the total vertical angular momentum is conserved. Flipping the wheel reverses its contribution, so the student must take up twice the wheel's angular momentum. Divide by his inertia and he spins at about 1.4 revolutions per second, the wrong way round. Flip the wheel back and he stops dead. Conservation made visible. Let's fold it all into one breath. Rolling is translation plus rotation. V of the center equals omega r. The contact point is frozen. The top flies at twice the speed. Its energy splits into rotation about the center plus translation of the center. And down a ramp, shape alone, through I over mr squared decides the race. Torque is r cross f, a true vector defined about a point. Angular momentum is r cross p, or I omega for a rigid body, and torque is its rate of change. Kill the torque and angular momentum is conserved, the skater, the diver, the cat, while a fast gyroscope trades falling for precession. Here are the 8 lines that solve nearly every problem in the chapter: the rolling conditions, the energy of rolling, the ramp acceleration, torque, angular momentum in both forms, Newton's law in angular dress, conservation, and precession. Screenshot this one. And 3 traps that cost real marks. 1. Treating a rolling object like a sliding one. Never forget the extra 1/2 I omega squared of spin energy. 2. Mixing reference points, torque, and angular momentum must be measured about the same point, and choosing it well is half the battle. 3. Imagining the gyroscope escapes gravity. It doesn't. The torque is entirely real, it just steers angular momentum sideways instead of pulling it down. Because under all of it lies one idea that started this chapter and now closes it: angular momentum, the quantity the spinning world conserves. So here's your parting challenge, and I want it answered in the comments in plain words. No equations allowed. Why does a solid sphere beat a hoop down the very same ramp? If this chapter made the spinning world click, subscribe, and I'll see you in chapter 12.